All right, let's face it. Most people don't get everything right on the first try. And learning is always iteratively a process of trying something, maybe getting it right, but probably not on the first try, and then trying something again. And that process of iteratively revising your thinking and your reasoning eventually leads to growth, and it leads to learning. And I try in my grading system to honor that process of learning. And the way that I do that is by honoring revisions. So here's how revisions work in our course. If you take a quiz, submit a quiz to Blackboard, I score the quiz, and it comes back with a grade of either progressing or not assessed, then that means that you don't get a chance to check off a checkbox on the grade sheet because of that, right? So there's no mark there. You'll get a mark of progressing if there's at least evidence of partial understanding. Right? I can tell that you're understanding parts of it, but you're confused on other parts still. You're on the road, but you're not quite there yet. You'll get a progressing grade. If you're not even in the ballpark, or more importantly, if you don't submit your assignment on time, you'll get a not assessed mark instead. And each of those may be revised to improve your standing in the course, your grade, as your understanding improves. So here's how it works. For a quiz, if you receive a mark of P for progressing, then that quiz may be revised. If you receive a mark of S, you can also, an N for not assessed, either it was late or it was an inconsequential attempt at it. You can revise by redeeming a coupon in the course. Everybody starts the semester with 5 coupons, so you have 5 choices to rehabilitate an N grade that you receive on a quiz or on an exam by the revision process. So revisions are always an option. You may also choose to submit a revision for something that you received credit on if you'd like to try and earn your mastery credit just based on quizzes, for example. You can do 2 quizzes instead of a quiz and an exam. That's up to you. But there is a significant incentive to revise if you didn't actually earn your mastery credit the first time around. So how does it work? You'll submit your revisions inside of Blackboard the same way that you submitted the originals. How you can find them is from the front page of Blackboard. Just move my face out of the way here for a second. Jump over to the section called Revisions underneath Quizzes. You can also find the same section under Submit a Revision inside the Quizzes file. And so the first thing you'll see here are these directions for how revisions work. When you submit a revision, you do 2 things. The first thing is you'll do a different version of the quiz or the exam. Whatever the assessment was that you're revising, you do an alternate version of that. And so you can find those alternate versions in this revision copies folder. So if I didn't do so hot on quiz 1, and if I need to revise that score, I'll jump into this revision copies folder and download this revision copy of quiz 1. Print it out, do my work on the page, just like I'm doing any other quiz. And then I'd submit that under this revisions drop box down here in the bottom. This says first revisions because this is the first week in which revisions are an option for the class. Every week, this becomes a different drop box based on the week. So you do a maximum of 1 revision every week. You can do 2 revisions every week if you want to redeem a coupon during that week. But for starters, just focus on revising 1 thing a week. Right now, there's only been 1 quiz, so if you do any revision this week, it's going to be that 1 quiz. So you do the quiz, just like any other quiz, and then you go to submit it here in this drop box at the bottom. But in addition to submitting it, I also ask you to do 1 additional thing. And that 1 additional thing is to take a look at the feedback that you received on the thing that you're revising the first time around. The thing that you got either a P grade for progressing or an N grade for not assessed. Take a look at the feedback that you received on it and reflect. So take a look at what you did, and first of all, what do you think was your biggest challenge in meeting this standard so far? So if you didn't master it the first time around, why do you think that was the case? So what do you think was standing in the way between you and demonstrating mastery that first time? Also, take a look at my feedback, so that written feedback that I give you on your quizzes or your exams. What portion of that feedback was most important for you to hear in helping to point the way for you to do better the next time around, and why? And then if you plan on doing anything differently in your learning process based on the feedback and the experience of revising this, then what is that? So I'm going to ask you to complete a couple or 3 sentences. Just write a couple or 3 sentences for each of these prompts to accompany your submission. So when you go to submit a revision, jump into this Dropbox. Attach your uploaded quiz file, so snapshot it or scanned and uploaded. And then down here in the comments box, here's where you'd write your reflections. So take the time to actually think about the reflections and the comments that you're leaving here, because that really is such an important part of the learning process. And if I don't think that you've taken this reflective writing portion of a revision seriously enough, I may kick the revision back to you and say, look, next time I'm not going to assess this. Next time, make sure that you're really substantively thinking about your learning and about the feedback that you're receiving, enough that I can tell that you're taking that feedback seriously here. Because for me, feedback is everything in the learning process. So revision is a super terrific opportunity from a grade standpoint in the course. It means that all the quizzes and the exams that you do up until the final exam, all of those scores are still on the table, right? If you didn't get it the first time and you get it the second time, then your grade will reflect it as though you had gotten it on the first time. That's what I love about this grading strategy, is that none of your scores matter until you master it, and then it matters completely, right? Then you get 100%. So take advantage of that, and in the revision process, really take the time to look back at your first attempt. Why do you think it didn't go so well the first time? Look at my feedback. What in that feedback was important for you to hear, and what do you plan on doing differently, if anything, in your learning process based on this process of feedback and revision? Again, every week there's one feedback Dropbox open here in the revisions area, so if you have something you haven't mastered yet, take the opportunity to revise it.